Subscribe, hit that bell icon, and share this clip if you enjoy it. This is TRS Clips.
Why is Facebook changing its name to Meta important, right? Like, okay, great, it's rebranding, so what's the big deal? I think the big deal is that if a Web2 company as big as Facebook has, struck the gong and said, guys, Web3 is coming, it's no more a question of, is Web3 coming? Is it not coming? Is it speculative? Is it a bubble? It's coming. One of the largest companies in the world has said, listen, we are a Web2 company, we make money from it, we are moving. So if you're already doing any digital business or physical business, you have to have a strategy, right? You cannot now sit on your butts and say, मैं देखता हूँ 2 साल में, it'll be too late. You got to act now for your Web3 strategies.
Also, this is Facebook's big opportunity to become seriously profitable for all the investors.
That's also is true, right? Because I think the one thing you have to give to Zuckerberg for, people have very different views about him, is it takes a lot of balls to say, and a risk that given how large they are, right? He has just said that, I'm all in. And that name change is really that. It doesn't mean that Instagram is going away anytime soon, but the name change signifies that all my focus, attention is on that Web3 part. I'm actually going to flush out everything I've done in the past and create something for the new world that has already begun.
Yeah. Considering how much negative PR there is around him, around Facebook itself, this shows a sense of fight in Zuck. I
Correct.
feel like that I am not done with my own legacy. I'm going
Correct.
forward. I don't know if he really works for legacy because his legacy is already made.
Yep.
So I question that, why is he hustling even more? He's a little crazy for sure. But kudos, man. Respect.
But, no, absolutely kudos, but also flow, right? So, remember, Zuckerberg's level has obviously increased a lot. But if he has got to remain in flow, he needs to increase the challenge a lot more. And this is his challenge to remain in the state of flow, right? Because otherwise, if he just sits down, he can buy a couple of islands, maybe a couple of countries for the wealth he has. He'll get out of that flow state and then life is boring, right? So, what do you do with that wealth if every day is a boring life, right? That's what I feel is the decision that actually prompted him to do it, right? I'm nowhere even close to the wealth of Zuckerberg, but I can definitely see even if I had that wealth, it's immaterial, right? The point is that when I wake up every day, like I wake up today, I have to get really excited about what I'm doing, right? And then when I sleep, I have to be anticipating that tomorrow is even going to be better because I'll work on even more crazy things. And that's his way of, I believe, achieving that flow.
Do you think there's any sense of ego in terms of he's very aware that there's negative PR around him now? In the last 2-3 years, there's negative PR. Probably since Social Network came out, the movie, then Social Dilemma, the documentary on Netflix, and then this whole controversy that happened with the US senators.
Correct.
He gave that on live TV.
Cambridge Analytica stuff also happened with Donald Trump. That also gave him a lot of negative PR. Will there be ego? Obviously, right? He's like a massively successful person. See, all of us have egos, right? He's really successful. He has definitely changed a lot in the world. Should he not himself in his position feel offended that people actually tell him that what he has created is bad? He has really changed a lot in the Web2 space.
He's changed culture, man.
Yeah, absolutely changed culture, right? Like whatever we say, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp is part of our daily life, right? And
created jobs, created
crazy
thought processes, changed
absolutely.
habits.
Correct. And I think he has never been shy about it, right? Unlike Google, which actually is doing probably worse things than Facebook in terms of privacy, I believe. And they both are, offsetting privacy of people. But Google never came into the limelight because they managed it, right? Facebook is always there because he has always taken that risk in newer products, right? So I think he is okay to be in the limelight. Whether he enjoys it, I don't really know. But it does seem like he always comes in the limelight a little too much compared to like a Google, which is really surprising to me. Like YouTube, Google search, they probably affect our life as much as Facebook, if not more.
One thing I've learned through fame, whatever amount of fame I have, is you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become a villain. It's a Batman.
And
it's so true,
it.
man.
Yeah,
it's so true. I remember when we used to be not so discovered when numbers were not so good.
Right.
And everyone used to be like, oh, he's a cool YouTuber. And now it's changed into why he's overrated.
Right.
And this happens in businesses as well, especially businesses where they put one person at the forefront and say that this person is our brand.
Correct.
Oyo Rooms.
Right.
with Ritesh, who's a
Ritesh.
great guy, but
Yeah.
just people have now this negative thing about him. And
Right.
it's just wrong PR that's happened. Zuck is the other example.
Correct.
Which is why probably the founders of Google did something smart by staying away from the limelight. Maybe,
Right.
maybe to protect their own mental health, to protect their own
Yeah, could be.
moves.
Yeah, could be. And also, I guess it's a like maybe a personal choice, right? Like how much do you want to feel in control and add that innovation, right? So doesn't feel like Zuckerberg, like he did this stunt on the Independence Day with the surf and the flag, right? Like it kind of like people started tweeting it as a joke around, but he put himself out there, right? So like that's what I'm saying. He's not afraid of it. He could have like I haven't really seen any photos of Larry Page or any of the other Google people ever, right? In the recent past at all. They've just really disappeared. And I'm sure that's a conscious choice for them. Whereas for Zuck, it's also a conscious choice to be in the middle of PR. He can disappear, I'm sure, if he wants.
Speaking about the technical side of things again, everyone knows what the meaning of the phrase first movers advantage is. Basically, Zuck, I don't think at first movers. I think MySpace had first movers advantage in social media.
Correct.
He was
There
with
was High Five, there was MySpace.
Yeah, High Five. Wow.
Yeah.
Orkut.
Right, Orkut, correct.
You know, but in the metaverse, this dude has some serious first movers advantage now. Before this recording, we spoke about how content creation gives you a lot of data points. The active data that you get from YouTube or from Instagram, but also you have this intuitive sense of data after a point. You know, okay, this thumbnail is likely to work. This video is likely to work. I'm sure because of Facebook, he has detailed data on different countries, different cities, different suburbs of those cities, different people. He's mapped out the human race.
Right.
That's a serious first movers advantage over anyone else. Google, him, to some extent Amazon. I feel these guys have first movers advantage in the metaverse. My question to you is that when we're saying that, okay, it's going to be built on blockchain protocols, which for the amateur listeners who don't know much about coding, just think of it as the coding language, the programming language that the Web3 will be built on, all the elements of Web3. It's different from the apps you use. For example, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all these would be built on Web2 protocols, different coding languages. Now, the computer engineers are going to be working with different technologies to build out Web3. What will Facebook be doing to transition itself from Web2 to Web3? Are they going to reprogram Facebook as a Web3 company, which they are with Meta? But specifically, under, what will they be doing? Will they be creating a very cool metaverse? I'm sure he's inspired from Ready Player One, like all of us.
Right.
Ready Player One is one of those cult classics, which is constantly being rediscovered now because people have woken up to the metaverse.
Right.
But technically, what will Facebook be doing to get ready for the world of virtual reality?
Cool. So one thing I'll say is that if people are interested and they really get hooked on to Ready Player One, they should also read the book called Snow Crash. That's actually the Bible of the metaverse. So in totality, whenever anyone joins, we actually give them the book Snow Crash because that was originally where virtual reality, cryptocurrency, blockchain, and the metaverse concepts got first introduced. So it's really, I think like every tech founder or entrepreneur in the West and hopefully in India also now should have a copy of Snow Crash on their desk. And I have probably read that book at least 10 times, right? So that's one point. Now let's get to the Facebook idea, right? So you said like you believe that they have a first mover advantage. I think they actually have a massive disadvantage given where their DNA is, right? Why do I say that? Look at what happened with Facebook and Instagram and TikTok later, right? Facebook, could they have recreated Instagram? They bought it early, great. They actually got into that market. TikTok, obviously they weren't able to buy. They tried to recreate it with Lasso initially, which was a massively failed experiment. It was released in South America, completely failed. They copied TikTok entirely, totally failed. So, obviously Google, Facebook, they definitely have the best technology knowledge, a lot of money, definitely understand the consumer. Like you were saying, they have all the data points. So why did Google Circles fail? Why was Facebook unable to create sort of a TikTok experiment, right? And I think like, the number one question which VCs ask any startup is, if this idea is so obvious, why wouldn't Google and Facebook do it, right? The answer is that it's not part of their DNA, right? Like there is a certain way that the company's DNA is now made. It doesn't matter if you hire the best Web3 engineers and the best designers and throw the best money, the product will not be made. And the reason is, like we were talking about, is flow, right? When I love and I'm very passionate about something, even though I could be an army of one, वो जो होता है ना, जो बोले सौ निहाल, right? It is the same idea that when I am in flow, I am equivalent to thousands of other people could be as smart, but because of my passion, that's the drive and that's the energy and that's the end result that will happen, right? So a TikTok can never become a Facebook can never become a TikTok, and neither of them can become a Web3 company. The reason I stated earlier when I said that this is actually a fresh start for everybody, right? So I totally believe that Zuckerberg and I are at the same starting point to build in the metaverse. Does he have infinitely more capital than me? Absolutely. But does he have infinitely more disadvantages compared to me? Absolutely, right? Because the expectations from a meta are so much higher. He thinks he has learned the process. So will he unlearn everything that he has learned? Absolutely not. He already has a lot of data points, so he will think that, with that data and with that pattern, the new pattern will also be something similar, but it won't be, right? I have seen that in gaming quite a lot, right? PC gaming was the thing for digital gaming, right? When console came, I remember I was a PC gamer also, and Atari flopped, right? Atari was very big, then completely crashed after their game ET, right? And went out of the market. They went bankrupt, right? Then PC gaming grew. I was a PC gamer. When consoles came again with PlayStation and Xbox, everybody was like, "ये तो नहीं चलेगा." PC is the gaming, console is stupid. Then console became really big. PC gamers couldn't transition to console, right? When mobile gaming came, even today, when people who are console gamers, they'll say, "Yeah, you are a mobile gamer. Don't call yourself a gamer," right? In a gaming market of 170 billion, 60% of revenues come from mobile gaming. Let me not even go into the figures of users. Probably 80-85% of users are mobile users in gaming itself, right? The number of companies who could transition from PC or console gaming to mobile I can count them in one hand, right? Why couldn't they? Did they not know technology? Of course they did. Did they not have data points? Of course they did. But they didn't have that DNA. Like, I've talked to a lot of gaming entrepreneurs who themselves didn't believe in the mobile opportunity, right? So when you don't have that belief, when you don't have that passion, when you don't accept that I have to relearn everything, which is very difficult, right? And things like Web3 will be built on first principles. You will have to restart and rethink, which is why I'm saying that for everyone, this is an amazing opportunity. If I and Zuckerberg are at the same level, then everybody listening to this podcast is also at the same level. So it's get go, and this opportunity will not come in our lifetime at least. In our younger generation, maybe there will be some other variation of metaverse, something else that comes up. But in our lifetime, this is the opportunity to become the next Facebook or become the next Google, right? And they don't have any advantage over us.
You know what I think the next wave will be after metaverse? It's just conjecture. It's also based on Black Mirror slightly. Are you a Black Mirror fan?
Yeah, I am.
Okay. Maybe you'll be able to download your consciousness onto something.
Right.
Like we saw on that Black Mirror episode, San Junipero.
Correct.
Where after someone passes away, their consciousness still remains inside a world.
Yeah.
Therefore, any dead relative, you'll be able to go meet the actual version of that relative inside a device.
Correct.
Maybe, man. If someone can map out the entire neural structure of your mind, recreate your personality point to point, including how your personality will evolve.
Yep.
Using probably pattern recognition, I don't know.
Yeah.
But maybe that's the next big technological revolution. But we're talking about 2050 post. So let's talk about the metaverse.
There's, by the way, a very good series on that, exactly what you're saying, called Upload.
Right. I know
So they did exactly the same thing. Yeah.
But anyway, that's too futuristic.
Right.
Because actually that requires progress in the world of neuroscience.
Correct.
And the world of neuroscience is very complex. That's one thing I figured. The human mind is not mapped out at all right
Correct.
now. Like we're just starting to learn details about it. And there's so many mysteries that we're still discovering.
Right. The other thing I'll say is, I think one thing we didn't touch upon on Facebook is this whole virtual reality part, right? Which is that when we even see Ready Player One, or we see what Facebook is building with Horizon now, called Meta, the entire idea is that, we are just going to put some lenses, wear some bodysuit, and it'll all be virtual, right? I highly disagree. Some of the interactions, like maybe this podcast we are having, will be like that. So I'll be sitting in Gurgaon wearing my HoloLens or whatever Oculus with a bodysuit, so that if I move my hand, I feel those vibes and vibrations. And similarly, you could be doing it out of your studio. And this is okay, because whatever I'll talk will be easily communicated, right? But now imagine playing Mortal Kombat wearing a bodysuit, right? like I'm definitely not a really fit person, but in 10 minutes I'm done, right? Instead, the best tools God has given me are fingers, right? So these digits are super important because they are the best tools humans had, and they have been evolved for hundreds and thousands of years, right? So the reason I'm able to play my game so much more easily is the physical effort is low, right? So a lot of Web3, according to me, will be mobile. It will be in the 3D space, but mobile and potentially AR. I'm actually not that big on VR becoming the big space of metaverse. It'll again be a small subset. But to a lot of the, a lot of people who talk about metaverse, the assumption, because of Ready Player One in particular, and because of what Facebook is pitching, is that, oh, we are all going to sit in our bedrooms wearing these, VR goggles, wearing these bodysuit and doing stuff. Not going to happen, right? We by nature are conserving energy, which is why by nature we tend to be a little bit lazy because of conservation of energy, and using hands are definitely going to be a lot easier than kicking around, moving around the space, right? Imagine playing PUBG where I have to move that much, right? Like 30 minutes, a game, khatam, rather than the 10, 12 hours that some people who love PUBG do. So metaverse future, more mobile driven, AR driven potentially. VR will, according to me, be a small subset. It'll definitely be a subset, but a smaller subset.
Crazy fascinating insight, man.